Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is set to be sacked by Manchester United next week. As you all know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is under serious pressure at the football club, obviously reflecting on our disastrous start to the season, because obviously so far this season we've only registered 9 points from a possible 24, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. And of course, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. Obviously, as you all know, it has been revealed, how much Manchester United, will have to pay to get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The club will have to pay around £7 million in compensation, which is around half, than what we paid to get rid of Jose Mourinho. Because I think we paid around, £20 million to get rid of Jose Mourinho. But reports not too long ago were emerging out saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is safe for now at Manchester United. He did reportedly say he's safe for at least another 2 games, because reports not too long ago saying if we were to suffer a heavy defeat to Liverpool on Sunday, that would put Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job in serious jeopardy. But I think it's actually been assured if we do lose to Norwich, which is obviously towards the back end of this month, that should be enough to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And of course, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is sacked as Manchester United manager, obviously he will be the fourth manager to be sacked, since the Alex Ferguson era, because obviously 3 managers have already been sacked by the football club. And I did initially say we haven't got the structure to keep sacking managers, but the board are not going to stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I mentioned, they're only sticking with him at this present time, like I do keep mentioning, because obviously he's a club legend. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance, and that obviously one of his most iconic moments as a player obviously was back in 1999, when he did win the club the treble, which was obviously over 20 years ago now, and obviously is one of the club's greatest achievements. Solskjaer as a player, made 366 appearances in all competitions and scored 126 goals. So he has got that proven pedigree as a player. But like I mentioned, if it had been any other manager now, I think there would have been sacked in that, because obviously we are sitting 2 points above relegation, because we're sitting 12th in the league, and you can quite frankly say we are facing a relegation battle at this present time. But yeah, it is an embarrassment. Like I mentioned, I don't think Manchester United, will get relegated. Quite a lot of Manchester United fans fear, that we will get relegated, of course, if we do keep Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, at the football club. But, I think a mistake, Manchester United did make, of course, was giving him the job. Like I said, we should have waited until towards the back end of last season, or we should have waited at some point until this season, to decide or not, whether to give him the job. But it has all gone wrong, since we did get the job permanently, because obviously, since he got the job permanently, I think we've only registered 17 points from our last 17 games. It's also been revealed that, we have the fourth worst record in the Premier League, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had got the job permanently. It is only Brighton, Southampton and Watford that have got worse records than Manchester United. And we've only won, 5 of our last 23 in all competitions, since we did get the job permanently. So, you can say that Solskjaer has endured a difficult 7-month tenure with the football club, because obviously, overall, Solskjaer has been at Manchester United, around 10 months. So he has been at the football club, just under a year. Don't forget, he was the interim manager at the first, obviously, he was interim manager for 3 months. And like I mentioned in that 3-month period, everything was going really, really well. The results were good, the performances were good. He was getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations and that. But since he got the job permanently, of course, everything has just seemed to have all gone wrong. Don't forget, Solskjaer has got a 3-year contract with the football club. But like I mentioned, like I mentioned, due to our inconsistency, you can't just blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Definitely, Solskjaer's got to take some responsibility, because some of the blame, does stem from him, because, his tactics are questionable, and I will admit, Manchester United are tactically inept. So yeah, he's got to take some responsibility. Obviously a lot of the blame as well, stems from a lot of players because obviously, they have been, very, very poor, and that a lot of these players, do need reality check. Also, some of the blame does stem from Ed Woodward because I think also he's been a liability, for several years now, and a lot of Man United fans are also demanding him out the football club. But I believe, like I mentioned, I think the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board. Obviously, reflecting on their poor recruitment and their poor selection of managers over the years. Obviously, the board, haven't been ruthless enough, in these windows. They haven't been ruthless enough, at least in the last 4 to 5 windows. Also, they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solsjaker enough, during the course of the summer, as they did actually assure, he would have been backed. So yeah, the board have been liabilities several years, and you've got a lot of Man United fans also pinpointing their fingers out to the board. But yeah, I think the vast majority of the blame does stem from them, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But Solskjaer, is aware, that he's under serious pressure at the football club, and obviously, he wants his tenure to become successful at Manchester United. I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in certain aspects, and that, I have got some element of concerns about him as well. But the things I do credit him for, he has got a lot of honesty about him. He admits, that Man United, are doing, are obviously, doing really, really bad, and obviously he actually fears that he will be sacked by Manchester United, if we do finish out of the top 6 this season, and and he's aware of the expectations at the football club, that he does have to exceed, basically. And I did initially say that our expectations, are obviously, to finish in that top 4. So obviously in that aspect, we can't get back into the Champions League. Because obviously, we've actually only failed to secure European football once overall, since 1990. And that's obviously, 20 odd years ago now. And obviously we failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I think this could be one of the main reasons why we wasn't competitive enough during the summer, because obviously if you're not in Champions League football, and obviously it's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level. I also credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well, that he has got a lot of faith in his young upcoming players. I think the vast majority of the young upcoming players have obviously been given minutes under their belt this season. Solskjaer is actually considering loaning some players out in January. I've been reading recent reports about Chong, Angel Gomez, and Jimmy Garnett. It says, they could be leaving Manchester United on loan in January, because I didn't literally say, I don't think, all the young upcoming players, will become a success at the football club. They won't become a success at the football club, and that, I have got some element of concerns about certain, young upcoming players. But I do believe, a couple of the young players, will become a success at Manchester United, and we have got a lot of young players that are developing in the squad and trying to improve in that. I can definitely assure that I think Mason Greenwood will become a success at Manchester United. Obviously, he turned 18 years of age at the beginning of this month. Mason Greenwood, of course, has not yet started a game from the start in the Premier League so far this season. He has made 6 substitute appearances as Mason Greenwood, but he did start in the game against Rochdale in FC Mestania, and he actually scored in them 2 particular games. But yeah, very, very good player is Mason Greenwood, and like I keep mentioning, by the time he's 23, 24, I think he can become a world-class centre forward for Manchester United. But I've been very, very impressed with him. I think also Alex Tuanzebe, will become a success at the football club. Alex Tuanzebe, in the games he's played this season, he's also, been very, very impressive. He's predominantly a centre-back, but he can also play as a full-back. And, like I mentioned, we have got quite a few versatile, defenders and that. But yeah, I can assure them too, will become a success at Man United. Like I mentioned, I think it will be beneficial for us, to put Chon out on loan in January, because I think, I've got element of concerns about Chon. He has had some minutes under his belt this season. I think he's, played a couple of games. Like I mentioned, he received loan offers, I think, was it towards the back end of the summer, or it wasn't too long ago, even if it wasn't in the summer, that, he received loan offers from his former club, PSV. No, not Fernand with his former club, sorry, but PSV, also, inquired about getting him. It actually got confirmed the other week that Man United were in talks over, getting him a new contract, Chong. And don't forget, Chong made his full debut for the football club last season in a 2-0 win, in a 2-0 win against Reading in the FA Cup, and he is only 19 years of age. Brandon Williams, I don't really know much about Brandon Williams, to be quite honest with you. Could we consider loaning him out in January? I know that he played in the 0-0 draw against AZ Alkmaar. Obviously, he's predominantly a left back. But yeah, I don't really know much about Brandon Williams. Angel Gomez, like I said, he's played a couple of games this season. He's also been one of the names mentioned that could be loaned out in January. Angel Gomez is another one of our midfield options. He did initially say at the start of the season he's going to be a big part of the squad this season. Is Angel Gomez. Like I mentioned with Jimmy Garner. I can't recall him playing this season in the league. I know he did, play a couple of games throughout pre-season. Obviously, we've also got Diego Dalot. He's another one of the young upcoming players. He needs to be given more time at Manchester United, in my opinion. He's only been at the club since last summer, so he's been here now over a year. He has made a couple of appearances for the club this season, but he's actually he's sustained quite a few injuries, this season, as Diego Dalot. I think he's injured at this present time. He wasn't too long ago, that he had a groin problem, Diego Dalot, but obviously, he's one of our backup options in that full-back area. And yeah, Andres Pereira, I'd give him more time at the football club. I know he hasn't, performed that well this season. I think he's only had one good game this season, in my opinion, as Andres Pereira, but needs to be given more time. I have actually, been very, very impressed there with Scott McTominay. I've been very, very impressed there with him. Like I mentioned, if in regards to him being the long-term solution for Man United, I have got an element of concerns about that. These question marks around him, can he keep the consistency up? But I think, prior to the Newcastle game, I think he's done mainly well. I thought McTominay, was very, very poor against Newcastle. Him and Fred in that midfield, looked very, very exposed. But yeah, to be fair, McTominay, has deserved to keep his place in the team. And, with Fred, I still say give him time at the club. Obviously, a lot of Man United fans, believe he's no longer good enough to represent Manchester United. Obviously, we paid just under £50 million for Fred last summer from Shakhtar Donetsk. I think he's had the odd game or two where he's done well this season, and that he did well in a couple of games towards the back end of last season. Obviously, to be fair, Fred never really got the opportunity under Jose Mourinho. Obviously, he was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. I've got to credit him for that, but he hasn't performed to the same sort of standards, at Manchester United, as he did do at Shakhtar Donetsk. So again, don't know if he's the long-term solution for the football club. But yeah, like I mentioned, we should orchestrate on loaning some of the young upcoming players out in January. And I also credit Solsjaker as well, because, like I said, he did recommend, 3 good players to the squad, during the summer. Obviously, we spent around £145 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and on Harry Maguire. And we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far, because they've all enjoyed fantastic starts to their Manchester United careers. So it's good in the aspects during the summer, that we did, address some of the problematic areas. Like I mentioned, we got that experienced centre-half in, we also, got that right back in, but, we didn't address all the problematic areas. But like I do keep mentioning, it was obviously going to be hard for us to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window. Obviously, like I mentioned, Manchester United, still need a midfielder. That's one of the priority areas where we need to strengthen up. We need to reinvest in that midfield. We need creativeness in that midfield. Obviously, we are all aware that we need a striker. We need someone to come in, that can assure Manchester United goals. We need to see basically an adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku. And obviously, I think anyway, like I do keep saying, we do look exposed in that attacking line, following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, and obviously with the injury of Anthony Martial and that, and Rashford not too long ago was injured. We definitely no need to recommend a striker in. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer as well, we was in search for right winner, but it's good that Solskjaer he's making plans for January. Also to Ed Woodward, he's making plans for January. But I think Solskjaer has been assured that I will be giving money, to spend in January. And we have got quite a lot of players on our agenda, who we could go in for in January, and maybe perhaps next summer. I do believe we'll probably do the vast majority of our transfer business next summer. We won't do much of it in January, but we'll try to get at least one or two players in January. But I did recently say I think Man United need at least 5 to 6 world class signings if we are to be back to being a competitive elite level football club. That's my opinion anywhere. And if Solskjaer is to still be here by January, I think he's still keen on sticking with the transfer policy, of recruiting young British players, like he did do earlier on in the summer. But like I mentioned, I think the players we was in for during the summer and that, I think we'll probably reignite our interest in some of them in January. Maybe we'll leave some until next summer. Like I currently mentioned, but yeah, definitely further more investment is needed in his squad. Obviously, like I mentioned, the vast majority of Man United fans, are demanding Solskjaer out. Obviously, you're still getting certain Manchester United fans, and you still, like I keep mentioning, you're still getting some former Manchester United players saying, we should stick out with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because maybe they believe us getting rid of him at this present time or just before Christmas, wouldn't solve a lot of problems at the football club. Now, obviously, so you've recently had Rio Ferdinand coming out. He gave his overarching view on it, and he said, Manchester United would be naive to sack Solskjaer, so they believe we'll stick with him. You also recently had Ryan Giggs coming out. He also said, that Manchester United, should give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer more time. He believes Man United need at least another 4 or 5 more signings if we are to be back to being a competitive elite level football club. So there's still certain people out there and that, saying, we should stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We should give him at least a couple more windows to see who else, he can recommend into the football club. Because you can still quite frankly say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad. Because like I do keep saying that, analysing the majority of this Manchester United team, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. Obviously, the vast majority of this team is actually, Jose Mourinho's, and obviously Jose Mourinho did recommend 11 players into the football club. Obviously, look, as it stands now, Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of them. Solskjaer's still inheriting some players even the Louis van Gaal era. There's still Matty from the David Moyes era. There's still a couple of players here from the Alex Ferguson era. So maybe that's why maybe some people are saying, he does need more time and that. But yeah, like I mentioned, he's still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad. But recent reports also said that Man United were prepared to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with 8 new signings, if he was to be at the club within the next 2 summers, which obviously I can't see happening. But yeah, Solskjaer's under serious pressure at Manchester United. But I think, everything, needs to improve at Manchester United, the results need to improve, the performances need to improve, the away form definitely needs to improve, because like I said, I think it's now 11 away games, Solskjaer has had now without a win at Manchester United. Obviously, like I mentioned, we haven't won away from home, since the PSG game last season, of course, when we did produce that miraculous comeback. Like I said, the style of play also, does need to improve. So everything, basically, needs to improve at Manchester United. Like I mentioned, I think the board also, need to assure structural changes in that, whether they can assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. So everything basically, needs to improve at Manchester United, in my opinion. And my other element of concern I have got about Solskjaer, that he hasn't really got that managerial experience, not to the highest level, so he doesn't really have any intuition as a manager. Like I mentioned before, I was at Man United. He won a couple of Norwegian titles and mould. Obviously, he had a really short tenure with Cardiff, and he actually, ended up, getting Cardiff relegated. I think he only managed Cardiff, for around 30 games. But he's definitely, not going to work out for him at Manchester United, unfortunately. But like I do keep mentioning, reflecting on the size and the potential of this football club, and that we should be much more of a commanding position, than winning now, and we know. Analysing our squad at the moment, it isn't good enough, to win the league. We know that, it's not good enough to win the league or even challenge for the league. But I think, looking at it, it's definitely, good enough for a top four finish, because these, actually, good players in the Manchester United squad. And I did initially say, I think, our aspirations, will be at that top four in the next couple of seasons, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I think, Solskjaer, will be gone. He'll definitely be gone before Christmas, in my opinion. Maybe not. Maybe he could, be given until January, to see who else, of course, he can recommend in to the football club. And then, yeah. And But like I said, we're enjoying a worse season this season than what we saw last season, because last season there was a huge disappointment. We finished sixth. Obviously, we failed to win many where we didn't qualify for the Champions League, and I think last season was the lowest we finished. Since the David Moyes era, because don't forget, I think we finished around, was it seventh back under the David Moyes era and that. But like I mentioned, there has been cultural problems at the football club. In the last 6 or 7 years. We obviously know that a lot of money has been invested into the football club. Obviously around the £145 million this summer under Solskjaer. Just under £400 million was spent under Mourinho. You had over £200 was spent under Van Gaal, around £67 was spent under David Moyes. So I think in total that adds up to around 700, 800 odd £1,000,000 that's been spent in the last 6 or 7 years in all the managerial areas since the Ferguson era. So that's just under £1 billion Man United have spent, and that's obviously not taking into account, what was spent under Alex Ferguson and that, because like I mentioned, Ferguson did buy players. He also, developed a lot of young players. He controlled the transfer policy and the contracts and that. Ferguson, had 26 successful years at the football club, and like I do keep mentioning, regardless of who our manager is, no one can, invoke Ferguson's legacy, and definitely Solskjaer definitely can't invoke Ferguson's legacy. To save him at Manchester United and that, we definitely know that, because we know that obviously, Solskjaer knows that Ferguson, transformed him into a winner and that, and Solskjaer was hoping that, he could, follow Alex Ferguson's legacy, philosophy, and he was hoping, that he could bring that fear factor, back to Manchester United. But in my opinion, Solskjaer, he's not the right man. And I said now, I hope now this team at this day and age can, try and do what the team did under Alex Ferguson and that. But like I mentioned, we're not going to do that, and we're no longer under the Ferguson era. We haven't been in the Ferguson era now for just over 6 years. This is now a different era with different players, different groups, and that we are building. But yeah, I just don't think we'll ever be the team that we was under Alex Ferguson and that. But like I did mention, always spending big on players and getting them Galactico players and that, it doesn't always guarantee you success. And this is why I did pinpoint out at the start of the summer that maybe we should orchestrate on being sensible over our recruitment and that. Like I mentioned, because we're known for overpaying for players. With done it in recent years and that. We always seem to overpay for players. We haven't only spent big in the last 6 or 7 years. We've also got players on big contracts with the football club. Don't forget. obviously, we've got Rashford on around, 300 odd grand a week. You've got Martial on, 200 grand a week. You've got Pogba on just under 300 grand a week. You've got De Gea on 375 grand a week. He's obviously the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. You've got Harry Maguire on 200 odd grand a week, I think. You've got Lingard on just over 100 grand a week. So we have got big players on big contracts at the football club. But yeah, this team, I think we're definitely lacking leaders in the team. This team needs to start showing heart, passion, and desire. We need to see some urgency and that from the team. We need to start creating more chances and that. And maybe there's some games this season you can pinpoint out where we've actually created chances, but again, we just haven't been ruthless enough in front of goal. And we just haven't scored enough goals this season. So far this season we've only managed 9 Premier League goals in 8 Premier League games, and that's absolutely atrocious. And we've actually failed to score more than 1 goal, this season prior to the opening game against Chelsea, where we scored 4 against Chelsea. But apart from that, we've scored 1 in every single game that we have actually scored in. But this is not Manchester United I am watching at the moment, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But yeah, everything needs to improve at the football club. And I did say I was happy that we did get rid of a lot of the deadwood during the course of the summer as well. We did get that summer clear out that we wanted. Around 7 players left. Like I mentioned, Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years at Man United. Obviously we do know that Chris Smalling went out on loan to Roma. Despite the fact that Smalling left, though, we have still got 6 centre-backs in the team. Darmian left, Herrera left. I think that was another mistake by Manchester United, letting Amanda Herrera go. We need to definitely recruit a replacement for Amanda Herrera. Fellaini obviously left back in January. He went to China. And obviously, Lukaku and Sanchez both went to Inter Milan, so obviously they're now reuniting together. Some people say it may have been a mistake for Manchester United, letting, Romelu Lukaku go, because, Romelu Lukaku, he did enjoy 2 years at Man United, and I thought he enjoyed a great first season with the football club. If I'm going to be quite honest with you, I think in his first season he scored 27 goals for Man United in all competitions. Didn't really replicate that in his second season, but obviously the main reason why Lukaku left the football club is because obviously he initially lost his place in the team, to Marcus Rashford. But I'm happy with the money we generated from his departure anyway. We got £70 million for him. I'm surprised of how much we got for him. So you can quite frankly say, we did recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. So yeah, I was happy about that, with the money we got for him. Sanchez, like I said, that was one mistake Man United did back in January, and hopefully we don't do a similar mistake in this January transfer window. Recommending the wrong player into the football club, and we did reckon Sanchez was the wrong player, and that he came in January. As part of a swap deal of Mkhitaryan going to Arsenal, and Sanchez enjoyed a difficult 18 months with the football club before he went on loan with Inter Milan. Sanchez obviously didn't perform to the standards as we all expected in that. He didn't exceed expectations, and he was actually very, very poor for the football club. And Sanchez only managed 45 appearances in all competitions, and only managed 5 goals for the football club. He sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. But despite the fact that Sanchez is out on loan with Inter Milan, it's confirmed that Manchester United are still paying the vast majority of his wages. We're still paying him around 300 grand a week, and obviously Inter Milan paying some of his wages and that. But yeah, I'm definitely glad that we did get rid of him. And obviously we did loan a couple of goalkeepers out. Don't forget, obviously Dean Henson's now out on loan with Sheffield United. You've got Joe Pereira that's out on loan with Hearts. But speaking now, there's more players that need to lead the football club. I think these players that need to be moved on in January or perhaps next summer. Definitely Jones is one of the players that needs to be moved on. Jones does play in the cup games and the Europa League and that. but obviously he won't really get them chances in the league games. And it was a bad mistake from Man United giving Phil Jones a new long-term contract last season. Phil Jones has been at the football club now for around 8 years. He's now into his ninth season as a Manchester United player. But in my opinion, he needs to be moved on, in January or next summer. I think Rojo, he's another problematic player at the football club. Like I said, he's compatible to Phil Jones because obviously, he'll obviously, get his more of his chances in the cup games and that, will Rojo, I think he's played a couple of times this season for Manchester United as Rojo. Don't forget, he was subjected to quite a lot of transfer speculation during the course of the summer transfer. And I'm actually surprised, that Rojo, didn't leave Manchester United, to be quite honest with you. Still under 2 years left in his current contract. I still believe, in my opinion, that he needs to be moved on in January or next summer, and we can cash in for him. Like I mentioned, Young, he's obviously past his sell-by date, reflecting on his age, because you've got Young now that's around 34 years of age. I think he's 35 next year. Don't forget, Young did get given a new 1 year extension last season, if you do remember rightly. But he's been here more or less the same amount of time as Jones. Young is now into his ninth season as a Manchester United player. He has actually been here 8 years. He was our first choice right back last season. But yeah, I think this should be his last season as a Man United player. Definitely, I think he's actually coming to an end of his footballing career. As you all know, I think Matic, he's a problematic player at the football club. I think he also needs to be moved on because obviously he's no longer first choice now. I know he was, first choice last season was Matic and that, but he's initially lost his place in the team, due to his inconsistency. And Man United obviously overpaid for him as well. We paid around £40 million for him from Chelsea back in 2017, and he's now into his third season at Man United, and we have seen glimpses in certain parts where he can do well. He can pass the ball well, but for me, he's too predictable, too slow, and makes that midfield look totally imbalanced. And Matic, his current contract does come to an end. His current contract expires at the end of this season, but Man United do have an option to extend it by a further year. And Matic is now 31 years of age. He has played, on a regular basis in the league games quite recently. Obviously, it's only because of the absence of Paul Pogba mainly. That's basically why. But Matic has initially lost his place in the team, to McTominay and that. But he's another player, in my opinion, that does definitely, need to be moved on by the football club. And Eric Bay, he could be a player we could consider moving on in the future. Obviously, reflecting on the amount of injuries he's sustained as a Man United player, to be fair to Bay, he's, when he's fully fit, he has got great potential, and, he has got great potential, and he, holds his line and that, really, really well, which I do credit him for. But, he's too injury prone and that, I think, he needs to be moved on by the football club. It may not be in January or next summer, but at some point, he should be moved on and that, but he is actually, a very, very imperative player, believe it or not. He's Eric Bay. He's now into his, is it 4th season as a Man United player? He joined us in 2016. We paid around £30 million to him from Villarreal. And, he's actually, he was actually Jose Mourinho's first player, he recommended him to the football club. But yeah, so he's someone else, we could also move him on. He's out with a knee injury at the moment. He's out until the end of December or the new year. Don't forget, he's Eric Bay. But yeah, so yeah, definitely, more players do need to leave the football club without a shadow of a doubt. Like I've been giving an update recently in regards to the new director of football at Manchester United. Obviously, for the majority of the summer, was trying to recommend a new director of footballing, to the football club. Obviously, there was quite a few former Manchester United players, linked with the director's role during the summer. Like I mentioned, there was talks about Evra coming in. There was talks about Rio Ferdinand and Darren Fletcher and that coming in. Paul Mitchell was linked with a role, and so too was Edwin van der Sar. There has been recent reports going on about Edwin van der Sar. And I think, like I mentioned, Edwin van der Sar has, indicated out at some point in his future, that he does, want to. That he does, want to, make a return back to Manchester United. And like I mentioned, I think, Edwin van der Sar, would be reliable to oversee our transfer business, and that, he's got that experience. He's knows the traditions of the football club, and he served 6 years at Man United, and that he's done really well at Ajax as Van der Sar. He's now into his 4th season with Ajax. Don't forget he's the chief executive at Ajax. But Van der Sar has described Manchester United as a fantastic club. But I did say that's one of the structural changes we do need at the football club, is recommending a new director of footballing. But yeah, that definitely without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. Like I mentioned as well, Manchester United have, had quite a lot of injuries, this season. You can take that into account, but, it's no excuse, with our bad run of performances. But, we've had, quite a few imperative players out with injury, Martial's been out for ages. Martial and Luke Shaw have both been out with injury since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace. But the good news is the vast majority of our players that are now injured, are going to be back or should be back, for the game against Liverpool on Sunday. So that's very good news. I'll be glad, to see, Martial back and that, because, I thought Martial enjoyed a really good starter to the season, obviously before he got injured. And we do know the inspiration he adds in that attacking third of the pitch, and he brings that fluidity in that attacking line. Martial's only 23 years of age, and Martial now is into his 5th season as a Manchester United player, and, he has been here since the Louis van Gaal era. And don't forget, we got Martial as a 19-year-old, so more than likely, I think it's assured that he will be back for Liverpool, but he has, currently been out with a thigh injury. Like I mentioned with Luke Shaw, it's almost assured, he will be back for Liverpool. Luke Shaw's a very imperative player. Like I said, he's, our first choice left back. He's more or less been here the same amount of time as, Martial has. Luke Shaw, Luke Shaw's been here since Louis van Gaal era. I think we did pay around £30 million for him from Southampton, if I can remember rightly. Luke Shaw is an injury-prone player. He's sustained quite a few injuries at Man United. I think when he was at Southampton, though, he sustained quite a few injuries, so in that aspect, it's compatible. But yeah, prior to that, and prior to the bad spell he had under Jose Mourinho, I think he's done really well. Luke Shaw won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. But yeah, it'd be good to see them two players back anywhere. Jesse Lingard's going to be back, and he's a player that really needs to step up to the plate. Jesse Lingard, don't forget, has been out with a hamstring injury recently. But reflect on these days of the football club, he should be putting much more better performances out. The good news is Wan-Bissaka is going to be playing against Liverpool, and, a lot of people believe, he's been one of our most consistent signings this season. I will agree on that aspect. He actually has, and the club paid around £15 million for him in total, 45 million up front with 5 million in add-ons, I think it was. But if Pisaka does keep the consistency up, his valuation will persistently grow. And, we did pay this money for him around that. He's only 21 years of age, but he has been out with tonsillitis, so this is why he's missed the last 2 league games and the last 3 in all competitions. Bayes obviously out, he will not be involved. I don't think, Fossil Mensah will be involved. Lindelof should be back, definitely. We do know that Victor Lindelof has been out with a back injury. This is why he missed the 1-0. This is why he missed the game against Newcastle. He's been out with back injury and that. And analysing Victor Lindelof's performances this season, I think, he's done mainly well. He's had a couple of bad games, but analysing it mainly, I think he's blended in alongside Harry Maguire in our backline fantastically well as Victor Lindelof. But yeah, he has been out with a back injury. Recently said that Mason Greenwood's been out with a back injury. Phil Jones has been out with injury, I think, as well. So we've had quite a lot of injuries. Paul Pogba, of course, has been out with a foot injury. There was recent reports speculating out saying that actually, Paul Pogba could miss the game against Liverpool. With this ongoing foot injury that's been surrounding the player for a number of weeks now, should I say. I think Paul Pogba is also another player that will leave Manchester United in January or next summer, because I still believe, he does want out of the football club, but especially when you've been so inconsistent, it's going to be hard, to also, convince your imperative players to stay at your football club and that. But Paul Pogba revealed at the beginning of the summer, that he basically wants to leave Manchester United. This is what he basically said. Obviously, his preference is a move to Real Madrid, basically. There was recent speculation saying that, Paul Pogba, for him to have any chances of staying at the football club, he was demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from Manchester United. 600 grand a week, equates to around £30 million a year, and that. I can't see Man United willing to meet these wage demands, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But Paul Pogba on his current deal at the moment, he's on around 290 grand a week. He's got 2 years left on his current deal, with an option, to extend it by a further year and that. But I still think he'll want out. And Paul Pogba, analysing the majority of his career at Man United since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016, he has been mainly inconsistent, in comparison to his time, with Juventus. But Pogba's 26, and he has still got a lot of development in him. But he has missed quite a few games this season with injuries. Played quite a few. I think he has been very, very poor. But we still know the difference he does make in that midfield and that. But yeah, so maybe Paul Pogba, could be back fit, for the game against Liverpool. Fitness staff recently revealed that they fear that Paul Pogba could be out until the beginning of November. But we'll see anywhere. But obviously, with the injuries we've had anyway, Ole Gunnar Solsjaker has had to make alterations in the squad, as you all currently know. But like I, updated you quite recently as well, within regards, to, who, could replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United now. Like I mentioned, we've got a list of managers on our current agenda. Like I updated you on my recent video, there has been recent talks about Laurent Blanc. Now, reportedly, it says... he's keen on replacing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United. Do you think, Laurent Blanc, would be the right candidate for the football club? Obviously, we know that Laurent Blanc has got quite a lot of managerial experience. We know that obviously he's been managerless for nearly 4 years now, because he stepped down as PSG manager back in 2016. He actually served around 3 years with PSG. Did Laurent Blanc. Before he was at PSG, he served a couple of years with the France national team. And before that, he was with Bordeaux, where he served around 3 years. He actually began his managerial career with Bordeaux. He started management, I think, in 2007. Don't forget, Laurent Blanc is also a former Manchester United player. So because he played for us for a couple of years during his playing career. But yeah, do you think he would be the right candidate, Laurent Blanc? He was recently, linked with a vacant managerial position at Lyon, but he didn't get the job at Lyon. Did Laurent Blanc? But there has been a lot of talks about him. I don't think Laurent Blanc will come in to replace Solskjaer. But he's one of the managers that have been mentioned. Like I mentioned, it's actually Max Allegri that is the favourite. To come to Manchester United to replace Solskjaer. Like I mentioned, I was reading recent reports yesterday, and it did actually say that Max Allegri, if he was to be recommended into Manchester United, as manager, he would want Patrice Evra as part of his coaching staff and that. Whether Man United would be able to assure him this or not, I do not know. Max Allegri came out the other week saying that he would take over at Man United if he was assured to be given the job, within the next few weeks. This is what he mentioned. But I think he's actually, the club's top priority to be, Manchester United manager and that. So I think he's the favourite to come in. Like I mentioned, Max Allegri, hasn't been managerless for long. He's actually only been managerless since the end of last season when he did step down as Juventus manager. Like I mentioned, he had a 5-year tenure with Juventus, won the vast majority of his silverware with Juventus. Also led them to 2 Champions League finals. But he's actually been managing overall since 2003. So he's been managing just over around 16 or just over 16 years, but he's actually so far spent the entirety of his managerial career in Italy. He also spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy, but I think recent reports did say that he's learning English in preparation for his potential move. Maybe Manchester United would have to pay something in compensation to recommend Max Allegri in. I don't know, I'm not too sure about that. Maybe not, because obviously he's managerless at the moment. I don't know. But yeah, I think he could possibly, be Manchester United's next manager. Some Manchester United fans, would like to see Arsene Wenger come in. There has been a lot of talks about him going on. He's not the favourite, like I mentioned, but a lot of Man United fans believe, he would be the right candidate. Pochettino, like I mentioned, is no longer the club's top priority. But yeah, so there has been recent talks going on about Laurent Blanc. But yeah, so reportedly Solsjaker will be sacked as Manchester United manager within the next week, like I said at the beginning of the video. Yeah. And that's merely everything to update you with. And the Man United Liverpool preview, will be coming up, It should be coming up later on this week. Probably, maybe it won't be tomorrow. It could be tomorrow, actually. Or maybe Thursday, Friday. I don't know, but it will be, sometime this week and that. Yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on this channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. And take care. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.